British giveaway winner.
That's a big surprise.
Oh my God, I'm going to cry.
Do you know what? I've never won anything like this in my life.
Oh my God, this is amazing.
That is absolutely fantastic.
We're over the moon.
Yes, that is fantastic.
You know, you have no idea how much I needed it. Oh my goodness.
You've won £54,321.
Please don't joke. This would change my life.
Oh, thank you so much. I was gobsmacked. Thank you, GBNews.
I'd say don't hesitate, do it. If you're not in it, you've got no chance of winning it.
Thank you.
You weren't expecting to get that call today, were you?
No, I wasn't.
You really could be our next big winner. Head over to gbnews.com/win now to find out how and get your entry for the Great British Giveaway. Great prizes, even greater wins.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact that Trump made a good start, no.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up?
About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
This is Britain's Newsroom, where your voice matters.
It's just astonishing. With expert analysis and honest opinion, we don't just keep you informed.
We bring you unique perspectives you won't see anywhere else.
Can't argue with any of that. When the news happens, it happens here.
On Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 a.m.
Only on GB News.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
Because
the failure is...
You're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Dewbs and Co weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Westminster, the ultimate clique. And you're fighting like rats in a sack. But here on the Camilla Tominey Show, we ask the questions the establishment media is too scared to ask. OK, let me ask you a straight question, because I know you're a straight-talking politician. Whether it's net zero, illegal immigration or law and order, nothing is off-limits.
You
had the power then.
Yeah, as I
and
say,
now you've lost it. That's the Camilla Tominey Show, a politics show that's fearless. But no, let me finish my question if you don't mind, because it is my show. Sundays at 9:30, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Good evening, it's 11 p.m. I'm Ben Leo, and this is Ben Leo Tonight. Later this
Many points were agreed to. There are just a very few that are left. Some are not that significant. One is probably the most significant.
Trump derangement syndrome heading his way because the president is reportedly going to accept Vladimir Putin's land grab as part of Ukraine peace talks. That's in the papers tomorrow. We'll bring you all the latest updates on those negotiations, so stick with us throughout the night for all the latest breaking news. Meanwhile, though, back in the UK...
He's got a massive following, facing some very serious allegations and said some things that are difficult to level with.
It's all getting a bit boring, isn't it? Labour's latest attack on Nigel Farage is to link him to Andrew Tate. It's on the front page of the Sunday Times tomorrow, and that comes, of course, as Angela Rayner says the Reform UK leader is failing children, and that's after another attack from Peter Kyle, saying that Farage is a Jimmy Savile facilitator, if the paedophile were alive today. Also...
And they're off and racing.
Or are they? On tomorrow's Sunday Times front page, horse racing, Britain's second largest spectator sport, is set to go on strike next month in protest at a plotted Treasury tax hike. And... More embarrassment for the BBC as police are called in to investigate Strictly Come Dancing. It comes after claims, of course, that 2 of its stars used cocaine, and it comes just a few days after the full lineup of this year's celebrities was announced. Joining me on Late Edition, comedian and GB News star Leo Kearse, the former Met Police detective Peter Blexley, and the former Labour Special Advisor Paul Richards. And even the world's wildlife have a pretty easy time crossing the channel these days. Hello, welcome to Ben Leo Tonight, Late Edition. Let's have a quick whiz through the first of tomorrow's newspaper front pages, starting with the Mail on Sunday. Zelensky trapped in Trump and Putin vice. So the Mail says that Ukraine's future as a sovereign nation was hanging in the balance tonight after the superpower summit between Vladimir Putin and Donald Trump, which, by the way, has got all the Trump derangement syndrome leftists absolutely off their rocker once again. The Independent, Putin spells out his conditions for ending war in Ukraine, and a picture there of anti-racism protesters outside an asylum hotel in Falkirk. One of them holding a sign saying, "God's love is for everyone." The Sun on Sunday, the BBC calling the police over the Strictly probe. Beeb bosses have alerted cops after lawyers began an inquiry into the scandal hit series, including allegations that 2 stars used cocaine. And an exclusive at the top, apparently Vladimir Putin's price of peace in Ukraine is that the country does not join NATO or the EU. Sunday Express, the world's in grave danger if the West caves into Putin, and a picture there of the last Victoria Cross hero from World War II who has died at the age of 105. Sunday Mirror, ex-Labour leader, exclusive, Kinnock, time to scrap the 2-child cap. He's called for a levy on the top 1% of earners to lift 600,000 kids out of poverty. Labour just taxing everybody into oblivion. The Sunday Telegraph, Trump supports Putin's land grab. This has been breaking tonight. Apparently, President Trump supports Putin's land grab proposal, which is around, basically to surrender Donetsk, and which would remain in Russian control but under Ukrainian ownership. Sunday Times, Putin demands land for peace. The Kremlin leader calls for Ukraine to pull out of the east. And the US President Donald Trump has scrapped his ceasefire ultimatum. And just down the bottom there, as we've already discussed in the last hour, racing, British horse racing is set to go on strike for a day next month because the Treasury wants more tax money. Of course it does. And The Observer, let's talk about, not this case particularly because it's active legally, but a terrorist is the headline, question mark. A picture of Zoe Rogers, she's 21, and she's been in prison for a year awaiting trial for her part in a Palestine action raid. Welcome back to my panel. Peter Blexley, Paul Richards and the incoming Leo Kearse, GB News star, comedian extraordinaire. Incoming!
Sounds like a missile.
Well, you are a missile. You're a very tall lad. Leo the missile. Let's talk about not this case of Zoe Rogers because it's legally very tricky. She's in prison awaiting trial for her part in a Palestine action raid. However, Yvette Cooper has written in The Observer tomorrow explaining why she outlawed Palestine Action as a terrorist organisation. Leo, I was surprised to hear that you don't think Palestine Action should be a terrorist organisation.
Yeah, I don't think they've reached the sort of level of committing terror. They aren't going on bombing sprees. I don't want to give them ideas, by the way,
no.
But they're not slaughtering people in British shopping centres or pop concerts. Or they've attacked military bases. Why are they not shot when they enter military bases and damage planes? Why are there not, can anybody just stroll into our military bases and have a picnic? We need to start shooting people who go into military bases.
Any other country, they would have been shot. If that was the United States, they probably would have met their maker.
And then it doesn't matter if they're terrorists or not, because they're dead.
Well, Leo, they've caused huge damage to the defence industry pipeline, supply chain, for want of a better expression. And, of course, there is a lot of stuff which Yvette Cooper has admitted we, the public, are not being made privy to. So we don't know the full extent. But even on what we do know, the damage to countless businesses within the defence industry, breaking into a an RAF base and damaging an aircraft. For me, that's more than enough to label them as a terrorist organisation.
And also, it's not just defence industry. I mean, it's just people going about their business. Jewish businesses have been attacked by these guys. So this is not an attack on the whole pro-Palestinian movement. It's one specific organisation that uses these terror tactics. And it wasn't just Yvette, by the way. It was Parliament. That
but labelling them terrorists plays into their hands, so they get their chests puffed out. You get these young college girls thinking they're part of something that's, you know, more edgy, more radical, more dangerous than it is.
And 560 of them got the handcuffs slapped on them last weekend. And well done the Met Police for a very effective operation.
Yeah, it's just making them martyrs. It's making them into more than they are. We're seeing, you know, 80-year-old women getting handcuffs slapped on them. It's just it looks ridiculous.
Well, they can wear it as a badge of honour, Leo. But what happens is, if you're convicted of a terrorist offence in this country, your life is pretty. I mean, I'd say it's ruined if you care about travelling the world. You can't go to the United States. You can't. You're banned from many other countries. You're probably restricted in a lot of other things as well.
Jobs,
finance, you know, obtaining
mortgages, loans.
Yeah. So we should probably just restrict that designation to people who are actually terrorists.
But look at the Lefty Observer. They dress up their front page with the question "a terrorist?" and they make it look like an old school flake advert, don't they? You know what I mean? Like with a wispy-haired girl and all that kind of game. Well, we'll have to see what the trial brings forth.
And also, just because you're 21 or 80, it doesn't matter, does it? You know, the fact that they used older people in the demo the other week, and they pushed the Quakers to the front to get arrested because they knew it would look bad.
Lovely oats.
But, I mean, these are bad people, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I'm not saying they're good. I'm saying, you know, we should get them for other reasons. And then, you know, trying to pretend that they're all Che Guevara, that they're all these, you know, militants. I think it's giving them, you know, giving them a sort of level of recognition they haven't reached.
Yeah. Okay. I don't understand how you think it's not terrorism to break into a military base and cause millions of pounds worth of damage to military aircraft. I mean, is terrorism, in your definition, just the act of killing?
That's an act of war. If you break into a military base and damage, and, like, to be honest, they're doing it on behalf of another country. They're doing it on behalf of, you know, the supposed Palestinian people, which were invented.
On behalf of Iran is what they're doing.
And on behalf of Iran. So, like, if they're doing it on behalf of other countries, then they're actually foreign militants. They're acting on behalf. Their agents acting on behalf of foreign militants. I don't.
Yeah, well, technically they are not guilty of anything yet, because I think the trial for that Bryce Norton thing's ongoing. So,
but seriously, these military bases need to get some guns. We're talking about these defence businesses. They need to start producing some stuff like guns that can then be pointed at these people when they break into the bases and fired.
Yeah, well, there's a national security argument there about how military bases are protected. But anyway, let's move on. Let's talk about Stephen Kinnock, Paul.
Neil Kinnock. Stephen Kinnock's a minister. And
also, talking of gaffes, apparently, to my Scottish mother-in-law's and probably yours, Leo, to your shock, I've been pronouncing Falkirk. So sorry, Scottish mother-in-law and all my Scottish in-laws. Falkirk, of course. Kinnock has said it's time to scrap the two-child benefit cap.
Yeah. I mean, I love Neil Kinnock. He's one of the reasons I got involved in politics, and I do know him quite well. He's having a wonderful final act in the Lords. He's coming out with all this sort of great moral stuff that he wants to be remembered for. You know, if he was the leader now, he wouldn't be saying this stuff. But now he's in the House of Lords and he's having this sort of great autumn blaze of sunshine. I just think he's speaking...
Autumn blaze of sunshine? His career has been one of abject failure. Talk about dressing it up.
Great man. One of the worst against him.
Hey, dear, oh dear. He couldn't run a bath, let alone a country.
I wouldn't trust him to run a bath. Yeah. I think 3 people would drown in it before he got in. No, this is ridiculous. He can't. He calls for a levy on the top 1% to lift 600,000 kids out of poverty. Number one, they're not in poverty. This is relative poverty. This is what Labour use. They say they earn like 60% of the median wage their household earns. That's a lot of money. Technically, I grew up in poverty. It didn't seem to affect me much. I still became 6'6", politics. And the other thing is, if you call for a levy on the top 1%, what are the top 1% going to do? They're already getting taxed to oblivion. They're going to say, well, I'm going to move to Dubai, I'm going to move to Monaco, I'm going to move to any of these countries that's a bit nicer to the top 1%. And then you lose those people, you lose that money.
I often talk about the loony left, right? This is the lazy left, right? It's the same old thing. Tax the rich, tax the rich. Well, the rich already pay a huge amount of tax in this country, a vast amount. And anyway, how are you going to do it? And they go, typical lazy lefty politics, which don't add up.
And when the government has money, it allocates the money terribly. They just waste the money. I mean, the best they do is waste the money. A lot of the money's spent, on drag queens going into schools. If you let rich people keep the money, they invest it in businesses that work and grow and drive the economy.
Employ people.
We need to start taxing the kids in poverty and giving it to billionaires.
And just as a final point as well, when the taxpayers, especially the 1%, see that tax money is being well spent and it's going to good things, and you can see progress being made, like, you feel good about paying tax.
Yeah.
But when you squander it, like this government is, you just, why wouldn't they move abroad?
I've met a few successful businessmen in my time. Not a lot, but a few. And whenever you have a conversation about it, when it comes around to tax, they all say, I would happily pay more tax if I knew it was going to be spent properly.
Yeah, of course. OK, let's move on. One story dominates all the front pages tomorrow. It's, of course, the Ukraine-Russia situation off the back of the Alaska summit. Lots of people saying it was frosty in Alaska, not because of the glaciers, but just the meeting between Trump and Putin. I thought it went OK, but let's get the thoughts now of US journalist and political commentator Nelson Aspen, who joins us live from New York City. Nelson, good afternoon to you. What's your take on what we saw yesterday in Alaska?
Good to see you guys. It was very compelling political theater, of course, but everything will rely on Monday. Not having President Zelensky there, of course, means that nothing can actually happen. But it was terrific theater. Nobody will give President Trump any credit if they don't like President Trump. The whole remark from Hillary that she would personally nominate him for a Nobel Peace Prize if he could pull this off just goes to show you how little she supports him pulling it off. She would rather freeze in Alaska than see him get that kind of prize then.
Well, Hillary is an interesting concept, because I saw her interview with whoever it was, probably MSNBC or some far-left outlet, and she was saying that actually she gave Trump a lot of credit for getting the meeting underway. She said there was lots of things to be impressed about. And Brett Baer from Fox News, who sat down with Trump on Air Force One on the way back from Alaska, he told President Trump about Hillary's comments, and Trump joked and said, oh, maybe I'll have to start liking her again. Why is Hillary Clinton having a bit of a reverse ferret when it comes to Trump? Is she worried that maybe the Trump admin is going to go after her like they have, say, Obama?
Yeah, absolutely. She has a lot of personal problems and professional problems that she may have to contend with in the coming weeks, months, and years in a Trump presidency. However, it's undeniable that this is an impressive accomplishment, that it is forward-moving, that Trump is, whether you love him or hate him, he is a man of action, and he's getting this audience. And progress will be made, whereas certainly in the Biden years, that progress was not being made.
Can I ask you, Nelson, about crime in the US, particularly in D.C., the capital, Washington, D.C., Donald Trump getting a lot of stick for bringing in the National Guard and actually being quite frank in the way he said he'll deal with the scumbags who are running riot across DC. When you compare it to, say, London and the likes of Sadiq Khan, who can't admit there's a problem in London at all, I mean, everything's just fine and dandy as far as he's concerned. What's going on in DC? Why is crime so rampant?
Isn't it like alcoholism? The first step is admitting you have a problem, and at least Trump will admit our cities have a problem. And the District of Columbia, which is, it's not a state. It can't handle this itself. It can come under federal authority. And Trump has enacted a state of emergency because of the crime in Washington, D.C. All the politicians say, oh, no, it's not so bad when they have personal bodyguards. But for the rank and file citizenry of D.C., they know it's scary.
So why is he being called why is he being called a dictator for doing this?
Because he has taken over they're calling it a militarization of law enforcement. And that may have seemed like was going to be the case, but he is working with the existing police department. And just in the first few days, they've had hundreds of arrests, deported scores of illegals. They've even gotten so far as to start cleaning up graffiti, a quality of life issue that has been on the cards for years and years and years. And Trump always, is very upfront about what his plans are. And he said, if this can work in D.C., he's going to take the model to other sanctuary cities like New York, like Los Angeles, like Chicago, where crime is a real problem. And he has stripped the District of Columbia, D.C., its status as a sanctuary city. And that's the first step. So that scares the left. They're investing $20 million just to pay protesters to come out against this.
Hang on, what was that? $20 million for paid protesters. Who's funding them? Soros?
Well, that's the big thing. You always want to follow the money trail. But
who is it? George Soros?
That is a great assumption. I don't know. I don't have my detective hat on today. But yeah, they've got to follow the money because these protesters are being brought in. I'm sure a few are genuine, like the sandwich hitting fellow that I'm sure you've seen on the news from the lawyer from the Department of Justice. So yeah, a lot of emotions are there, but behind those emotions, there are also dollar bills.
All right, Nelson, great stuff. Thank you very much. Yeah, isn't it refreshing to see a political leader who does what he says he will? No illegal migrant releases into the US for the third month running. Zero. Absolutely none whatsoever. And yet people still say, wow, Donald Trump's a dictator.
Yeah, and they've actually got people self-deporting as well. So it's, it's incredible. It shows, Starmer should take note. It can be done if you actually want to do it.
Yeah, happy days. Paul?
Sure.
OK. Should we move on to sorry, Leo, it's not a very funny story, so, maybe you could try and figure out a way of cracking a joke about it, but it's actually a very sad story and one we should commemorate with respect. The last Victoria Cross hero from the Second World War has died aged 105. It's a chap called John Cruikshank, who was a flight lieutenant from Aberdeen, who earned the honour of a VC for an attack on a German U-boat while piloting a Catalonia flying boat in June 1944. He was the last to die of 181 people who received the Victoria Cross, which is the country's highest military honour, of course. And his family said he died last week and a funeral would be held in private. Who wants to go first?
Well, I just reflect on two things. One is I do genuinely believe that is the greatest generation that fought that war and then, rebuilt the peace afterwards. What a great man, what a great life. And the second is I just reflect on why they had to fight that war in the first place. And it was because there was a view that you could appease Hitler and just give him territory up until the point when you couldn't. And I wish Trump would learn some of that history now and see what we did in the 30s and why we had to fight World War II. And he's repeating some of the same mistakes that the appeasers made then.
How typically disrespectful of the left to disrespect John's memory by making a cheap political jibe.
He said he was the greatest generation.
Cheap political jibe.
How dare you, Peter? My father was in the RAF. He was a flight lieutenant as well. I have huge respect for the forces. And I have
to conflate the two is a cheap political jibe.
No, absolutely unfair.
I didn't interpret that from Paul's comments. But Paul, can I ask you? Do you is the situation today not different? We have nuclear. Most superpowers have nuclear weapons. So I don't think Germany didn't have nuclear bombs at the time when they wanted to say
them, wasn't it? It was developing them, and it would have got them if we'd carried on. So
in fact, a lot of the German scientists were developing came over to America.
They had the red carpet, didn't they? Into the space program.
Yeah, it was great. But I think as we're seeing people die, my granddad died in World War II as well. He was piloting a Messerschmitt. But as we're seeing the people died, the last heroes from World War II. Right? That is a joke, yeah.
Managed to squeeze one in.
He fought for the British Navy, we're all, the rest of us are, Germans, so we're very upset at him for that. But no, as we're seeing the last sort of heroes from World War II die, we're also seeing the ideas that sprang from World War II die. The rules-based world order, the Pax Americana.
Yeah,
and I think this is something that we're going into an era of might is right. I mean, Trump is sitting down with Putin. There's less of a sort of moral guiding, although it was always a bit subverted and corrupted. But there's less of a sort of Western moral guiding. And now, if you've got an army and you can take over a country, you can do it.
Rest in peace, John. Thank you for your service. They certainly didn't give VCs away.
Yeah, so John, he was badly injured in an attack on the 17th of June 1944 while protecting British vessels in the Norwegian Sea. In total, wow, he suffered 72 injuries, including 2 wounds to his lungs and 10 to his lower limbs. A deserving VC winner, if that's the right way. Oh,
yeah, and still made it to 105. What a man!
Yeah,
what a legend.
Yeah, respects to Lieutenant Cushak's family and, of course, to John as well. Right, let's move on. More front pages after the break, including there's yet more wokeness at the civil service, of course there is, and the taxpayers picking up the tab. This is Ben Leo Tonight, late edition.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
GB News Breakfast, every day from 6 a.m.
To infinity and beyond. A Scottish space company, Skyrora, is celebrating a huge milestone after it was granted a launch operator licence for one of its rockets.
Well, the licence enables the company to launch from Saxavord, which is at a real place. It's the UK's licensed vertical launch port. It's in the northernmost point of the Shetlands.
But the search is still on for a launch pad to blast off from, with none available this year.
OK. Joining us is the head of government affairs at Skyrora, Alan Thompson. So, Alan, wait a minute now. So you've got a port, but you don't have a launch pad. Is that it?
Got a licence, and there is a designated licence spaceport, but yeah, there is no premises at this precise moment in time.
So how would you get that, mate?
We could, well, in theory, the launch vehicle that we're looking to launch, we have actually demonstrated it can be launched from a farmer's field. So we theoretically don't really need a launch pad. And for that reason, we are trying to see if there is an opportunity to negotiate with the people at Saxavord to allow us a corner of their farmer's field to allow us to undertake this launch.
Do you know, wait, I always see, Alan, programmes and read news reports about farmers having to utilise their land in other ways to make it pay.
This is the way forward.
This could be the thing.
Well, I believe the Shetland Spaceport does actually have sheep within the perimeter fence. And yeah, it's something that we've come across a lot of engaging with nature.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions. But every Friday night at 9 p.m, you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christie's Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
All right, welcome back to Ben Leo Tonight, late edition. Here's a story from The Sun tomorrow. Woke civil servants held seminars on imposter syndrome, Pan-Africanism, yeah, me neither, and trans lives. Critics said the events organised by the Department for Education staff groups in the middle of the working day, no less, were nonsense. So there were 2 one-hour sessions held on trans lives in September 2023 and another in February this year, 2025. Another event, which ran for an hour from noon in October last year, focused on Pan-Africanism, which apparently is an ideology of racial solidarity among those of African descent. And in April this year, one staff network at the Department for Education held an hour-long session from 1 p.m. on lesbian identity, love and community. And in 2023, sessions were also held on men's menopause awareness. Men's menopause awareness, navigating imposter syndrome at work, and the identities and challenges of bisexual individuals. I mean, I don't know where to start. Where do we start on this? Men's menopause there?
Well, yeah, and all this stuff. I mean, Pan-Africanism, this idea that, black people should have some sort of solidarity. Are they also going to have, I mean, that's fine, but are they also going to have a session for white solidarity? Yeah. All the white people, all the people of white origin getting together to feel that they're...
Well, that's what we're doing now.
Community. How dare you? I'm half Aberdonian.
So you'd heard of Pan-Africanism?
Yeah, I think because Dawn Butler did this insane Hotep poem talking about how she's like one of the chosen ones because she's one of the first ones, and it just shows that there's absolutely no boundaries, no checks on mad supremacist racial ideas on the left.
I don't know where people have the time for this stuff. I mean, I'm so busy, I barely have time to even think about my day, let alone this.
It does look like it was their lunch break, though, doesn't it? It started at 1 o'clock, so I suspect they all had their lunch break. Who would want to do this in their lunch break? I'd rather go for a walk around the park and have a sandwich.
Peter, how's your men's menopause going?
Well, I have the occasional hot flush. See, now I'll get in trouble with women because women do get hot flushes. I know my wife went through the menopause. I am not belittling that in any way, shape or form.
You already cancelled, Peter.
But what is the men's menopause? I mean, what is it? I've shown no symptoms. I'm of that age. I've probably gone through it. I probably slept through it.
You should have gone on the workshop. You'd have found out,
Yeah.
When you're 1 o'clock.
Yeah, you're confusing me with someone who has got a life.
And also these civil servants going on sessions about imposter syndrome. I mean, if any civil servant thinks they've got imposter syndrome, yes, you do. You should have imposter syndrome. You are actually useless, and you shouldn't be getting paid all this money to do whatever you do.
Talk about trans lives and male menopause. I am interested in the psychology and the concept of imposter syndrome. It's an actual thing, isn't it, Paul?
It is a recognised psychological condition, and women often experience it, and people from working class backgrounds often experience it, and it's the idea that somehow you're going to get found out. You shouldn't be there. Somehow you got there by mistake. They're going to unmask you. And it's quite a common feeling, but you just have to get over yourself. Get on with it. I don't think you need a workshop. I think you need just to get on and do the job.
Well, if they're unmasking you, then surely you've got there through fraud, haven't you?
Well, so it's defined as a psychological pattern where individuals doubt their accomplishments and have a persistent, often intense fear of being exposed as a fraud, despite evidence of their competence and success. I mean, surely everybody has some sort of self-doubt at some point.
Well, I've never accomplished anything, so I'm in no danger of suffering from that.
Hey, you're in Ben Leo Tonight, late edition.
Beg your pardon.
But the opposite of it is very posh people who have absolutely no talent whatsoever, who somehow seem to do terribly well in life and have no imposter complex. They just have entitlement.
Yeah, indeed. OK, let's move on. Another story in tomorrow's papers. Apparently, facial recognition cameras that will be used by police at next week's Notting Hill Carnival. I can't wait for that. I'm going down there with my hat on, Leo.
Your tin hat.
Notting Hill Carnival, wow. Not. Apparently, the facial recognition is racially biased, that's according to campaigners. In a letter to Sir Mark Rowley, the Metropolitan Police Commissioner, 11 civil liberties and anti-racist groups said the technology was less accurate for women and people of colour. But the Met has dismissed the claims as misconceptions and said the cameras were reliable and effective. Groups including the Runnymede Trust, Liberty, Big Brother Watch, Race on the Agenda and Human Rights Watch have signed a letter claiming the cameras would only exacerbate concerns about abuses of state power and racial discrimination within your force.
And to all the aforementioned groups, I say, right, I am fully supportive of these facial recognition cameras. Yes, the technology had flaws in its early days, but in the absence of a regulatory framework, because Parliament has manifestly failed to address this and create the rules and regulations, the Metropolitan Police and South Wales Police have pushed ahead. They've helped the technology be driven to improve and improve and improve, and they've done exactly that. And the lefties who say, well, I shouldn't have my data retained, do you know what? If a facial recognition camera gets your image, OK, and you are not matched with a wanted person on the database, your image is deleted and not retained in less time than it takes to say the word no.
And
it's gone.
surely they just let you go as well, of course.
They don't stop you. You only get a ping if your face comes up.
Right, OK.
Right? If it's matched to someone who's on the wanted database. And in this day and age, where police basically, if someone doesn't turn up at court, they don't go and find them, they don't go looking for them, they haven't got the time. Their details get entered onto a computer and that's it.
Yeah.
This is a great step.
I guess the concern is, Leo, that maybe, you know, it will start with catching criminals, and then as things tends to happen in this country, it develops into, oh, let's find the person who's unvaxxed or refused to adhere to the lockdown. There he is, get him.
I'd be amazed if it didn't start with that and then move on to criminals. I mean, police in this country seem to be more worried about people putting signs up saying, oh, shoplifters are scum, or somebody doing a naughty tweet. Yeah, it's ridiculous. But, I mean, I don't know how they can say these cameras are racist if they're, you know, recognising faces. That's just, you know, that's the opposite of racism. And there's been some horrific violence at the Notting Hill Carnival. There's the mother who was stabbed to death. I mean,
2 murders last year, 8 rapes, 370 odd arrests, 61 police officers injured. It's a bloodletting fest.
So
I don't want it cancelled. I want it moved to Hyde Park.
Oh no, it should be cancelled. No, look at these stats from yesteryear. 2017, 12 stabbings. 2018, 7 stabbings. 2019, 18 stabbings. 2022, 7 stabbings, including 1 fatality. 2023, 10 stabbings. Last year, a spate of stabbings, 2 deaths, 2 fatal stabbings. If this was a far-right asylum protest where you'd have, forget deaths, just consistent stabbings, they'd be banned. Starmer would be on, you know, whatever news channel saying we're going to be cracking down on this, we're going to introduce emergency legislation to cancel this. He would have done it by now.
If it was the St George's Day Festival, right, you know.
Tommy Robinson's got a rally in September, and, you know, they always seem to go by relatively peacefully. The only trouble that was reported at the last one was actually people unconnected to the rally. So you can imagine if we had this, like Ben says, if we had this at a rally like that, oh my God, they'd scramble all units. Everybody at the rally would be in jail.
Yeah, and it would never be allowed to happen again.
Paul, have you been to Notting Hill Carnival?
I have been to the Notting Hill Carnival, and I don't think you should stop the carnival. I do agree that the technology now is advancing to the point where you can hopefully get some of the bad hats before they get anywhere near committing the sort of violence that's been described. And maybe a halfway house between banning it or moving it to Hyde Park might be to make it a ticketed event, which was proposed by a Conservative, actually, this week, whereby you don't just have huge numbers just arriving without any sort of regulation at all. A ticketed event that is a bit safer, and then you can control the crowds and the flow and all of that. And those very narrow streets might be a bit safer. But I would hate to see it banned completely.
Can you think of any...
Sorry, go on. They did that with Wimbledon, and there have been no stabbings since.
Yeah.
Wimbledon?
Yeah. I'm told the boat race is the same.
Yeah.
Can you think of any other event, Paul, that attracts, you know, a dozen stabbings every year and is allowed to continue?
And the murders.
It's just insane. It's insanity. Anyway, let us know what you think. gbnews.com/your say. Coming up inside the Sunday Express tomorrow, people smugglers smashing the gangs. They've been selling small boat crossings with the promise that the emergency services will help if migrants get into trouble and give them a second chance at crossing the channel. This is Ben Leo Tonight, late edition, back in a sec.
Hello there, welcome to your latest GB News weather forecast. It's remained quite cloudy across some eastern parts today. We'll see similar conditions into Sunday as well. Best of the sunshine across western areas, and high pressure generally dominates our weather pattern at the moment, so it is largely settled, though quite breezy, particularly across southwestern parts of the UK. This evening and overnight, a quiet end to Saturday. Lots of clear spells. There'll be some low cloud drifting back inland across some eastern areas as we head into the early hours. Thick enough for a bit of light rain and drizzle at times, but for most it's quiet. Temperatures generally in the range of 12 to 16 Celsius, so a little lower compared to recent nights. So on Sunday morning, plenty of sunshine across most parts of the UK. They're always cloudier towards the north and the east. So Orkney and Shetland, a cloudy start to the day here, and then generally cloudy across northern parts of Scotland, but the rest of Scotland, plenty of sunshine to start the morning. Lots of sunshine across Northern Ireland as well, though. You can see the cloudier skies across eastern England, thick enough for some light rain and drizzle, but western parts of England into Wales, Lots of sunshine to start the day and still quite breezy across southwest England, but the wind should hopefully ease here later on in the day. This cloud will be slow to lift and break in places, just like we've seen through the day today. It will generally stay cloudy here, but elsewhere there'll be plenty of sunshine and the temperatures will again get to the mid to high 20s. Sunshine could be hazy at times, but overall another warm feeling day for many. On Monday, again, a cloudy start, but likely we'll see the cloud extend further eastwards. It should break as the day goes on to allow some bright or sunny spells. The risk of some showers, though, coming into the southwest. Some of these could be thundery at times, but generally dry across Northern Ireland and Scotland, and generally dry for most over the next few days too. That's all from me. See you again soon.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
No,
Because the failure is...
You're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Dewbs and Co weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GBNews, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's political podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's political podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Welcome back to Benleo Tonight, late edition. I'm joined now by foreign policy analyst and former aide, no less, to Margaret Thatcher, Niall Gardner of the Heritage Foundation in the United States. Niall, good evening. Nice to see you. You were on the ground, my friend, in Anchorage yesterday for the superpower summit between Trump and Vladimir Putin. What was it like? What did you experience?
Yes, actually, just got back to Washington from Anchorage, Alaska, and it's certainly a very historic day, actually, a very interesting day on many respects. And one of the most striking aspects of the summit was the fact that once Putin landed on the ground, and I witnessed Putin's plane flying into Anchorage, but once he was on the ground, you saw US B-52 bombers actually flying over the military base where President Trump and President Putin were meeting, in a clear show of US military strength, and sending a message to Putin and the Russians. There's only one superpower in the world, and that's the United States. Russia is no longer a superpower at all. And I thought that was actually a very striking moment yesterday, this display of tremendous US military air power on this very historic day. And I saw all of that on the ground, and an extraordinary day in so many respects. And President Trump, I think, is the only leader in the world who can force Vladimir Putin to the negotiating table. No one in Europe can force Putin to the negotiating table, but President Trump can. He's a very strong, tough leader, and I think that the Russians understand that real global power in the world lies today in Washington, of course, and not in Brussels.
Niall, there's been some interesting colour coming out of the summit from some British journalists. Conor Stringer of The Telegraph has written a column in the paper about basically how there were skirmishes between Russian journalists, American and UK journalists. The Russians, because there were no hotels in Anchorage and it was all quite late in the day, the Russians were forced to sleep on a hard gym floor, segregated by hospital-style curtains. They were put in cot-style beds. There's videos from Russian journalists online showing what they described as slop food being served to them. I mean, it didn't look very appealing at all. The Russians had to borrow the Wi-Fi code of the US Air Force because the Wi-Fi that the Americans put on didn't work. And also, there was rows between Russian journalists and British journalists about who would get seats at the front, and I think there were some physical interactions, pushing and shoving. Do you know anything about all this kind of stuff that was going on?
Well, I mean, certainly Connor, the Telegraph's Washington correspondent, I think has done a brilliant job of portraying some of the tensions on the ground. There were Russians, walking around, eating in restaurants, etc. I mean, quite a surreal scenario. But let's not forget, of course, that, the Russians are responsible for the war in Ukraine. This has been a brutal war of aggression against the Ukrainian people. And now you have the Russians complaining about their treatment on the ground, which sounds utterly ridiculous, frankly. But yeah, an extraordinary moment where you did see Russians sort of wandering around the streets of Anchorage, and if the Russians are whining and complaining, well, they've only got themselves to blame, frankly.
Yeah, I've already said on my show tonight, Niall, I unfortunately spent more than a week with loads of Russians at holiday resorts in the Med, and I'm sure there are very nice Russian people around, but the lot I encountered, I was happy to be out of there, to be quite frank.
Yeah.
Can we talk, please, Niall, about President Trump and illegal immigration? Because Caroline Leavitt, the White House press secretary, she announced a few days ago that for the third month running, 0 illegal migrants had been released into the United States. What can we learn in the United Kingdom here? And do you have any faith in our political leaders that they'd bother to think of asking Donald Trump for advice on illegal migration?
Well, I have zero faith, of course, in Keir Starmer. He's been absolutely useless, I think, in terms of securing Britain's border. In fact, it's a lot worse under the Labour government. In contrast, here in the United States, we have basically 0 illegal migration now, thanks to President Trump. And under Joe Biden, over 10 million illegal migrants flooded into the United States. So Trump has completely reversed all of that, and he's implemented very, very tough measures to stop illegal migration, and they're working. And so the likes of Keir Starmer, Emmanuel Macron, Merz, for example, in Germany and so on, European leaders, they should be listening to President Trump. They should be studying exactly what the Americans are doing. You can secure borders. It's possible. You can end illegal migration, and you can also, of course, deport large numbers of illegals. And I think that President Trump's already deported around 250,000 illegal migrants from the United States. Many of them, of course, the worst of the worst. I mean, hugely dangerous criminal elements who have been sent back from the United States. So this can be done, and President Trump is demonstrating how it can be done.
Niall, just finally and briefly, you, of course, former aide to the late Margaret Thatcher. What would Maggie have done, just going back to Russia, what would Maggie have done if she was in Trump's shoes?
Well, I think she would be very, very assertive and tough towards Putin, and I think that she would be rallying the free world, standing up to Russian aggression. And I do think President Trump is determined to end the war in Ukraine. He's the only leader in the world who's capable of doing that. But of course, dealing with the Russians is very difficult, and Putin is a fundamentally dishonest and dangerous individual, and I think that it's a very, very tough task, of course, to end the war. But if one man can do it right now, it's Donald Trump.
OK, Niall, thanks very much. Where are you, by the way? Are you in DC?
Yeah, back in Washington, D.C., yeah.
All right, well, stay safe on the streets of D.C. I know President Trump's trying to clean it up, but, yeah, I hear it's getting pretty hot under the collar. Niall Gardner, thank you very much. Appreciate it. We'll catch up soon. Let's very quickly look at the front page of the Sunday Times again. The story here revealed at the top, the prison chief who had links to gangsters, Peter Blexley, and he left with a payout. So this is Bobby Cunningham, who was the deputy governor at HMP Wandsworth when he met an alleged cocaine trafficker at his house. Tell us about this.
Yeah, so Mr Cunningham, 34 years old, so I would say reasonably young to be deputy governor of a prisoner. Wandsworth, the hellhole that is Wandsworth, Victorian prison, rat-infested, quite frankly not fit for purpose. And of course it's where Khalif escaped from. You might remember that notable escape of a couple of years ago. Anyway, Mr Cunningham, I need to say, this whole article is full of allegedly, and this, that and the other. It's a bit of a hot potato. But clearly he met some rather colourful characters, shall we say. Some of whom had criminal convictions.
And one of them did his garden up.
Yeah, did his garden for him, yeah. Yeah, as you do, you know what I mean, when you're deputy governor of a prisoner. Yes,
Did it end up with loads of cannabis plants growing in it?
Use all the contacts I couldn't possibly comment on that.
I'll tell you what it is, though, Ben. It's good old-fashioned journalism. You know, this is actual investigative journalism where they found this story out, and of course all the legal caveats have to be in place, like Peter says. But it's above the fold on the front page, and you know, a good bit of a good scoop there by these two guys.
Yeah, definitely. And Peter, just very quickly, 34 as for a deputy prison governor, is that quite young?
I would think so. I mean, it's not my...
Went to university, Peter.
My field of expertise. Yes, well, he did get dismissed. Of course, I need to mention that. But you know what? He got a compensation payout of 160 grand, which consequently government lawyers have tried to get back.
Quite right.
I don't know how they're getting on with that. Well, but there you go. Maybe he learnt such corruption at university, Paul. 1-1.
Allegedly. I'm sure he's enjoying his new garden anyway. Right, stick with us on Bellio tonight, late edition. After the break, I'll have definitive proof that it's not just migrants who are finding it easy crossing the English Channel. Back in a sec.
I forecast a perfect holiday in the sun.
Weather looking good then?
For sure, and no worries about our travel insurance.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GBNews Travel Destinations Forecast.
The exceptional heat across Spain and Portugal is now starting to ease, with temperatures closer to average, but at this time of year that still means it's going to be pretty hot for many places, with a little bit of showery rain pushing through, otherwise lots of sunshine. More showery rain affecting parts of Italy, the high humidity here leading to some thundery downpours, a bit of a breeze affecting Sicily still, and also some blustery winds around the Greek islands. For many, into next week it's looking largely fine.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GBNews Travel Destinations Forecast.
This is Britain's newsroom, where your voice matters.
It's just astonishing. With expert analysis and honest opinion, we don't just keep you informed.
We bring you unique perspectives you won't see anywhere else.
Can't argue with any of that. When the news happens, it happens here.
On Britain's newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 a.m.
Only on GB News.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's political podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's political podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
It's Patrick Christie's Tonight, and here we do things differently. It's explaining the absolute madness of this, doesn't it? It's explosive. I mean, this is very good. It's lively.
850. Your government sat there, Sean, and it did nothing.
It's controversial. And the Middle East has been in turmoil since before I was born. It's everything you need to kickstart your evening.
Everyone's had their Weetabix tonight. I love to see it.
That's Patrick Christie's Tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
No,
Because the failure is...
You're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Dewbs and Co weeknights at 6 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up? About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster, the ultimate clique. And you're fighting like rats in a sack. But here on the Camilla Tominey Show, we ask the questions the establishment media is too scared to ask. OK, let me ask you a straight question, because I know you're a straight-talking politician. Whether it's net zero, illegal immigration or law and order, nothing is off limits. You had the power then.
Yeah, as I
and
say,
now you've lost it. That's the Camilla Tominey Show, a politics show that's fearless. But no, let me finish my question if you don't mind, because it is my show. Sundays at 9:30, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to Late Edition, Ben Leo tonight. Now, people smugglers have been selling Channel small boat crossings with the promise that the emergency services in Britain will help migrants if they get into trouble. Criminals are promoting deals on social media, guaranteeing that the French police and Coast Guard will intervene if needed and allow those on dinghies to try and get to Britain again, this is the caveat, again for a second, third, fourth time if they fail the first crack. I don't want to talk about that too much because it's kind of not new. We know there's a massive scam going on, but it doesn't seem like it's just humans who are finding it very easy crossing the channel. A very friendly dolphin has been caught on camera off the Dorset coast playing with people in the sea. Take a look. There we go. Cute little dolphin off the coast of Dorset. I think some wildlife experts have said, stay away from the dolphin. Even if it comes to play with you, stay away, it's dangerous. And I think a boat propeller struck it very sort of lightly a few days ago. It's got some injuries, but I think it's fine.
Dolphin, fun fact?
Yeah, sure.
They are more intelligent than Labour voters.
That goes for gerbils as well.
Yeah.
I heard
they're more intelligent than gerbils, aren't
they? Did you know dolphins are the only animal who mates for pleasure?
Oh, really?
Apart from humans, of course.
I don't know. Most animals, all the ones that I engage with. I've never seen a spaniel with a frown after I've...
That's pretty cool, though, isn't it? Dolphins off the coast of Dorset. Have
Lovely.
you ever swum with dolphins? I know it's cruel in a contained environment, but...
No, but if you go to Nairn, the beautiful seaside town of Nairn in the Scottish Highlands, which you may or may not be familiar with...
Lovely oatcakes.
There's a restaurant called the Sundancer, named after the dolphins, and if you sit there and you've got a window seat, you sometimes see the dolphins swimming up the Moray Firth, and it's a beauty.
Right, thank you for that fun fact. I'll be down there during my summer holes. Right, let's have one last whiz through the papers, starting with the Mail on Sunday. Let's be quick. Zelensky trapped in Trump and Putin vice. The Independent, Putin spells out his conditions for ending war in Ukraine. The Sun on Sunday, the BBC calling cops over a Strictly probe. The Sunday Express, the world's in grave danger if the West caves into Putin, and a picture there of the last VC hero from World War II who's died aged 105. Rest in peace. The Mirror, Kinnock, time to scrap the two-child benefit cap. The Sunday Times, Putin demands land for peace. The Sunday Telegraph, Trump supports Putin's land grab. And The Observer, Zoe Rogers, 21, is a Palestine Action supporter who's been in jail for a year awaiting trial. Thank you for your company tonight. I'll see you tomorrow. Thank you to Peter, Paul and Leo. Sweet dreams. See you tomorrow.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hello there, welcome to your latest GB News weather forecast. It's remained quite cloudy across some eastern parts today. We'll see similar conditions into Sunday as well. Best of the sunshine across western areas, and high pressure generally dominates our weather pattern at the moment, so it is largely settled, though quite breezy, particularly across southwestern parts of the UK. This evening and overnight, a quiet end to Saturday. Lots of clear spells. There'll be some low cloud drifting back inland across some eastern areas as we head into the early hours. Thick enough for a bit of light rain and drizzle at times, but for most it's quiet. Temperatures generally in the range of 12 to 16 Celsius, so a little lower compared to recent nights. So on Sunday morning, plenty of sunshine across most parts of the UK. They're always cloudier towards the north and the east. So Orkney and Shetland, a cloudy start to the day here, and then generally cloudy across northern parts of Scotland, but the rest of Scotland, plenty of sunshine to start the morning. Lots of sunshine across Northern Ireland as well, though you can see the cloudier skies across eastern England, thick enough for some light rain and drizzle, but western parts of England into Wales, Lots of sunshine to start the day and still quite breezy across southwest England, but the wind should hopefully ease here later on in the day. This cloud will be slow to lift and break in places, just like we've seen through the day today. It will generally stay cloudy here, but elsewhere there'll be plenty of sunshine and the temperatures will again get to the mid to high 20s. Sunshine could be hazy at times, but overall another warm feeling day for many. On Monday, again, a cloudy start, but likely we'll see the cloud extend further eastwards. It should break as the day goes on to allow some bright or sunny spells. The risk of some showers, though, coming into the southwest. Some of these could be thundery at times, but generally dry across Northern Ireland and Scotland, and generally dry for most over the next few days too. That's all from me. See you again soon.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
There's just 2 weeks left to see how you can win your mortgage or rent paid for a whole year. That's a cash lump sum equivalent to 12 of your monthly mortgage or rent payments, right up to a whopping £20,000. Plus, we'll add an extra £5,000 on top for good measure. Make sure you don't miss out as lines close on the 29th of August. For another chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entry start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB15 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 29th of August. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's political podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's political podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions, but every Friday night at 9 p.m. you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christie's Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
No,
isn't it?
no,
Because the failure is...
You're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Dewbs and Co weeknights at 6 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Good Afternoon Britain isn't just about us. The wonderful thing about this programme is it's about everyone watching. It's an interactive programme.
Well, there absolutely is something to see here, and we're going to be talking about it more. Whether it's breaking royal news, please bring us up to date. Or indeed a particularly punchy speech in the House of Commons.
Very, very curious.
We bring it to you live, and then we bring you live reaction as well.
That's Good Afternoon Britain, weekdays from midday.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
It's Saturday night, and this is the Saturday 5, the UK's biggest Saturday night TV show. I'm Alex Armstrong, along with the usual suspects, Will Kingston, Dr. Renee Trelo, and Kai Wilshaw. Tonight on the show.
The only people who don't seem to care about shoplifting are the police.
Barbie is Islamophobic.
Nobody should ever be locked up for free speech crimes.
Ethnicity in crime doesn't matter.
A desperate Don is making a deal with the devil.
It's 6 p.m. and this is the Saturday 5. Welcome to the Saturday 5. We love having your company. Get your views in gbnews.com/yoursay. We love reading out your views. And of course, get stuff in for Ask the 5 this week. We're going to do more than we ever have before. So put Ask the 5 in the comments and we'll read it out. But some other news this week. Vladimir Putin. Here's the news that Prime Minister Keir Starmer may be invited to future peace talks.
Thank you, press. Thank you, press. Thank you, press. Thank you, press. Let's go. Thank you, press. Thank you, press. Thank you, press. Let's go. Come on, guys. Come on.
Yes, and a new report suggests the number of unmarried 25 to 35-year-olds has doubled in the last 30 years. I wonder what's causing it.
Ask if you would like to. Are you absolutely joking? You are having a giraffe, aren't you? Mom, you're ruining our moment! Baby, I'm not ruining your moment, I can assure you. I'm saving you from the rest of your life.
Overbearing parents, perhaps, who knows? And videos are circulating the internet, really showing how successful Ed Miliband's new energy policy is. What a beautiful sight of our energy infrastructure being completely demolished, eh? And the internet has been out in force this week as Trump met Putin in Alaska. It also raised serious questions about how badly the education system may have let many down, including our very own Will Kingston, who is completely dumbfounded that the map doesn't go round like a globe. Wow. Will.
I understand the concept of the globe. I was surprised at just how close they are. It's only 3 miles in between them.
Yeah,
China too on the other side.
Yeah, we only do the southern hemisphere in education in Australia. We didn't get to the northern hemisphere.
Yeah, we've clearly let a whole generation of young people down, haven't we? And of course, like I said, get your views in gbnews.com/yoursay. Get some Ask the 5s in. And one more important thing this week, because this is a neck-and-neck poll at the moment. Vote in our Saturday scraps. gbnews.com/poll. Here are the questions we're asking. Should we celebrate the Independence Day of other countries? No. Should politicians have their time abroad restricted? And should we scrap inheritance tax? We will be waiting for your result on that one, and one of us will be going up against Kai. But tearing each other apart. Your Saturday news with the brilliant Katie Bowen.
Alex, thank you and good evening. The headlines at 3 minutes past 6. Vladimir Putin says that his conversation with President Trump was sincere and substantive, adding that he wants to end the Ukrainian conflict peacefully. His statement comes as there are reports that European leaders have been invited to attend talks between Volodymyr Zelensky and President Trump in Washington on Monday. President Trump said he and Vladimir Putin had a very productive meeting yesterday, but there were a few key points they couldn't agree on. The face-to-face talks in Alaska lasted more than 3 hours. Prime Minister Keir Starmer has commended President Trump's efforts, saying he has brought us closer than ever before to ending the war in Ukraine. On Truth Social, Mr. Trump said he and Putin agreed that the best way to end the war is to go directly to a peace deal and not a ceasefire.
We had an extremely productive meeting and many points were agreed to. There are just a very few that are left. Some are not that significant. One is probably the most significant, but we have a very good chance of getting there. We didn't get there, but we have a very good chance of getting there.
Well, the Financial Times is reporting that the Russian president has demanded that Ukraine withdraw from the eastern Donetsk region as a condition for ending the war, but told President Trump he could freeze the rest of the front line if his core demands were met. At the press conference, the Russian president, who spoke through a translator, said he's seriously interested in putting an end to the war, but warned Europe not to interfere.
I would like to hope that the agreement that we've reached together will help us bring closer that goal and will pave the path towards peace in Ukraine. We expect that Kiev and European capitals will perceive that constructively and that they won't throw a wrench in the works. They will not make any attempts to use some backroom dealings to conduct provocations to torpedo the nascent progress.
Elsewhere